When Harry Kane swapped Spurs for Bayern Munich, many people thought he's finally going to get his hands on some silverware, which isn't the Audi Cup or a runners-up medal. Others, myself included maybe to an extent, asked that age-old question. You can take the player out of Spurs, but can you take Spurs out of the player? Now, when at the season opener, the DFB Super Cup, they went and lost 3-0 to Leipzig, it did indeed look like, no, you can't take Spurs out of the player. And then obviously they didn't win the league, they're not going to win the Champions League, and because they came third in the league, they're not even going to get the chance to play in the DFB Super Cup next season, because if Leverkusen win the cup, that'll go to the second place, they'll play a second place team, which I believe is Stuttgart. So yeah, going to be already down one chance of a trophy next season. However, in this FM world, Harry Kane retired at Bayern Munich, having won the Bundesliga, the DFB Pokal, twice, the Bundesliga, again, no Champions League though, and no real honours with England. And having retired, Kane hasn't really done a huge amount. He's got his National B licence. He's not really done anything for the last 6 years, to be honest with you, since he left Bayern Munich. So, that brings us onto the theme of today's episode. So using Football Manager, we're essentially going to act as Harry Kane's agent. Now, the way we're going to do that is we're going to be unemployed, and we are going to basically use the editor to guide Harry Kane through his managerial career. Now, before anyone says anything, no, we're not going to just go and stick him straight in at Spurs as manager, as a National B licensed coach. How often, if ever, do you see a manager go into a top flight team, get his coaching badges on the job, and do, acquit themselves particularly well? Well, I suppose, maybe sometimes exceptions do break the rule. But let's be honest, realistically, that's not going to happen. He's got no coaching experience, no managerial experience. It would be dead easy for us just to say, you might think, let's just throw him in at Real Madrid or Bayern Munich, or PSG, and he'll just walk it. Doesn't matter if he's rubbish, if his attributes are terrible, he'll be fine. No, that doesn't work. Managers in Football Manager, much like players, have CA and PA. And that is governed by their attributes. And basically, you can't just chuck a League 1, League 2 current ability manager in a 5-star team, like worldwide reputation, elite level team, and just expect them just to perform. Slight spoiler, you'll see why. And so the other thing as well is that, unlike with players, you can't always see the transfers that happen with managers as well as you can with players, I find. It's not as obvious, it doesn't come up in the feed as well. And when you go on the manager's profile, it doesn't always, it may say they're wanted by a particular club, but then next thing you know, like 2 days later, they've signed for that club. You don't necessarily get that chance for transfer negotiations. If you can nip it in the bud and you can see that they are joining at the end of the season, like with players, you can cancel a transfer. But just a little caveat, slight spoiler, that has happened a couple of times where Harry's just gone off and done his own thing, including right at the very start of his managerial career. And just to show you what we're talking about, Harry Kane, at this point in time, 2036, National B-level coach, current ability 116, potential ability though 172, particularly spicy. That is a very good level for a manager who we can expect to hopefully achieve good things. So for example, in past editions of FM when I've looked, Jurgen Klopp has kind of had a PA of around about 170 to 180. Pep Guardiola, the same. I've looked at previous managers like Roger Schmidt. I did this on FM24 when we did the Messi Ronaldo manager sim. He was a very successful manager. He won Champions Leagues with Arsenal, multiple Champions Leagues with Arsenal. He had a PA and therefore eventually current CA of about 165. So anything around like 160 plus is a really good sort of level that we can really work with and try and generate some sort of success. So as I said, what we're going to do is we're going to analyze realistic moves that we think that a manager, starting young manager, regardless of the reputation of the player, very high reputation player, very good player, what we think is realistic for him to do, what we think is going to be a good move at the time in his career. And that's basically how we've done this simulation. So the first thing we do is we don't just necessarily move him straight into a job that we want him to have. Ideally, we would have gone, let's move him into the Spurs coaching setup, which is exactly what we were able to do because there was a coaching job going at Spurs. And we thought, brilliant, it's a club he knows well, it makes sense. You see Steven Gerrard going back to Liverpool doing his coaching badges, Frank Lampard going to Chelsea, etc, etc. He can go to Spurs, get his coaching badges done, boom, perfect. So, move done, Harry Kane, coach at Spurs 2036, and we thought, perfect. He'll get his badges done here and he'll be absolutely fine. As we can see, he's a model professional. That's really, really good as well in terms of his managerial career. It's going to stand him in really good stead. 4-3-3, lovely, solid tactic. Slightly more adventurous, bit of an expressive play style. Pretty solid background, from to get started as a manager. And this is just to sort of further highlight what he actually did achieve as a player, just a little bit more sort of stripped back. So we can see he was a Champions League runner-up with Munich, won the Bundesliga twice. He was actually Champions League runner-up twice, to be fair. Three times. Very much a Harry Kane theme there. Runners-up in the European European Championship, as we know, 2021. Champions League runners-up in 2024, 2027, and 2030. Bundesliga champion on 2 occasions, and DFB Pokal winner on 2 occasions as well. So a year down the line in his coaching job at Spurs, he's got his National A licence, and things are progressing pretty nicely. Bear in mind, he's only been in the job at this point for about 9 to 10 months, so he's got that boxed off. Now we find ourselves in 2038, and we're thinking, are we happy for them staying at Spurs? And, there are jobs available at Barcelona, Juve. Does he want to take a tentative step into management in the Championship with Leeds or Borough, or maybe even go to like Levante in the 2nd division in Spain, and sort of try and, get his Spurs there? Pardon the pun. But now we come to the first incident of Kane going rogue. So, June 2040, he decides, you know what? I'm doing it on my own. I'm going to go to Aston Villa. He leaves Spurs, takes charge of Villa with, 8 games to go towards the end of the season. And he actually, to be fair to them, guides them away from relegation. At this point, though, he's still only got his Continental A licence, so he's still working towards that Continental Pro, or the UEFA Pro licence. But he won out of his first 8 games. He won 3, drew 3, and lost 2. And he inherits a relatively decent looking side, to be fair. Obviously, we've not got all the information. We're unemployed. We've not got all the scouting info. But as it was, they finished in 16th, I believe it was, in the end. But he's got, some mixture of some youngsters. He's playing a 17-year-old there at centre-half, a 19-year-old in midfield, an 18-year-old on the bench. And as we can see, when he took over, match day 30, team were in 18th, and then within a couple of weeks he got them up to 17th and actually managed to get them to finish 16th come the end of the season. And I mean, we only have to look at some of the stars that he brought in. This is in the 2nd season. He loaned in Carlos Guevara from Liverpool, who looks an absolutely brilliant striker. He's got them joining permanently in at the end of the season. Coming in, the 27-year-old Mexican, only so far managed to weigh in with 4 goals though. And he's only started 3 games, which is, for a player of this ability, is quite a surprise. And, you're kind of thinking, what is Kane doing? But by the end of the season, in June 2041, he had got his Continental Pro license, but he was wanted by PSG. And we're thinking, no, Harry, just stay where you are. Stay where you are at Aston Villa. He's managed to finish a very respectable 12th with the team who, last season have been battling against relegation, and he managed to build them up and turn them into a nice, comfy mid-table team, bit of stability, and a good platform to build on with some of the players he had joining. But he went balls to that, I'm going to PSG. And at this point I was thinking, you've done this twice in a row now, Harry. You've just gone and done your own thing. Like I said, it's really difficult to interfere with stuff like this, because once it's happened, I'd then have to try and reload it to a previous point, which isn't, obviously, it's my game auto saves, but you never know at quite what point it's going to reload. And then if you start messing around with moving managers back to clubs, etc., it just completely starts to disrupt the flow. So you know what, we let it slide. But just coming up to halfway through the season, and he was 5 points off Nice in 2nd place with PSG. And I mean, as you can see, at the start of the season, he had gone on an absolute torrid run, only winning his 1 game in 5 before losing to Newcastle in the Champions League, as well as Manchester United. And yeah, safe to say, this move to PSG had backfired a little bit. You'd think guaranteed trophy with PSG, but wasn't looking likely. Lo and behold, that proved to be the case, where at the end of the 2042 season, he was sacked by PSG. And believe it or not, he actually finished third in Ligue 1. Was knocked out in the playoff round by Liverpool, knocked out by Lorient in the Coupe de France, knocked out by Milan in the FIFA Club World Cup quarter-final. And yeah, it was looking like Harry Kane's gone to the Farmers League, PSG, where he should really be guaranteed a trophy, and he can't even win it there. So in order to try and really break the Spursy curse, we took charge here and we said, no, Harry, right, you're going to Milan. A little bit less pressure on him than there was at PSG. They were predicted to come first. They had just come second in the league, though. And we were thinking, you'll probably get given a little bit of time here because Serie A a little bit more competitive. Owners are hopefully a little bit less brutal. Perfect facilities. Currently in a little bit of debt. Balance isn't healthy. But you know what? Big club. Somewhere he can hopefully put down some roots. It's important to note that at this point, when he went to Milan, he was at his max potential as a manager. And as we can see, in that first season, he gets his hands on his first trophy as a manager and wins the Serie A with Milan by 2 points away from Lazio, wresting the title back out of Lazio's hands after they'd won it for 2 consecutive seasons. But not only did he win the Coppa Italia, the Serie A, he also won the Coppa Italia. And he was knocked out by Lazio in the UEFA Champions League final. I sense a little bit of a rivalry developing here between Milan and Lazio. And jumping forward another year, and Harry Kane has taken Milan to the Champions League final, where they've lost 5-4 on penalties to Manchester United. And it was a bit of a bridesmaid season, this one, for Harry Kane. After winning the Coppa Italia and the Serie A last season, he came second in both, as well as coming second in the Champions League. And it was to Lazio, believe it or not, they had to play a playoff to decide who won. Same head-to-head record, almost identical record in the league, except for Lazio being a little bit more free-scoring. And they lost 2-1 in the playoff for the title against Lazio. But actually, to be fair, it was 3-1 because I didn't realise it was a two-legged tie. So they lost 2-1 at home, and then 2-1 away in Rome, and then 1-0 home to Lazio. 3-1 overall. And I mean, we can just see, so obviously this simulation started in 23-34, so we had Napoli retaining the title. And then after 27-28, when Inter won it, Milan won it something like, 11 times in a row before Lazio managed to break that up. And then we jump forward another season, and Harry Kane has wrested the Serie A back off Lazio, winning it, and also winning the Super Cup. And he also got Italian Serie A Manager of the Year. And this year was a little bit more comfortable, winning the league with 98 points, 8 points clear this time of Napoli. Following season, they then lost it to Napoli, finishing 7 points off the pace. One thing we did notice was he actually won the Club World Cup, so they won it in 2041, and then Harry Kane won it in 2045. And then we jump forward another season, 2047, and he's gone and won it back. This time finishing on 99 points with only 1 defeat in the league. And then he's gone and retained it again in 2048. This time, once again, finished on 99 points, but just 1 point ahead of Napoli, who came second on 98 points. But at this point, we felt like it was time for a change. Harry Kane had yet to win the Champions League, but he'd done pretty much everything else he could at Milan. And with Mikel Arteta, of all managers, leaving England after actually winning the World Cup in 2046, I think it was the World Cup, Harry Kane, we decided the job's available, go and manage England. Yeah, just confirmation that it was the 2046 World Cup that England had won under Mikel Arteta. They'd also won the 2044 Euros and came second in the 2042 World Cup. And when we looked at the World Cup group he had in 2050, we thought he's in with a real chance here of getting through into the next set of rounds. But unfortunately, they did end up coming third. As we can see, they were actually knocked out in extra time by Portugal before beating Germany 3-1 with 2 goals from Frank Wilkinson and 1 from Joshua Crompton. And at this point, Kane actually resigned from England after sort of failure to really win the World Cup, really, or obviously reach the final, and decided, you know what, I'll dip my toe back into club management, and he became the manager of Porto. Again, he did this on his own, by the way. We had no say over this. Where that Spurs curse struck again, and he came second in the league. I think it was just the 1 point behind Sporting Club de Portugal in the end. But then at this point, he left Portugal and went to England and managed Newcastle, where with Newcastle looking to win a third successive league title, he guys into second place. And we're thinking, Harry, what are you doing, man? And at this point, he was actually wanted by Manchester United, who just won the league. But we thought, we don't really want to do that yet. And we thought, Harry, the Madrid job's open. Go to Madrid. You're jumping around too much. Go to Madrid. You just left Portugal. You've gone to Newcastle. Just go to Madrid. Go and chill in Spain for a bit and go and do that. So as we can see, his spell at Newcastle, he finished second in the Premier League and runners up in the Champions League. Meanwhile, at Madrid, he came fourth in La Liga. But important to note that when he took over, they were actually in the Europa League because he'd actually been doing really poorly in the League Madrid for quite some time now. So he got knocked out in the semi-final of the Europa League by Chelsea. But he did win the Copa del Rey. And he did also, I think, did he win the Super Copa? Oh no, he wouldn't have been in the Super Copa because he didn't finish in the top four, sorry. But he did win the Copa del Rey. It was at this point that he was actually wanted by Bundesliga champions Borussia Dortmund. Bayern Munich not having won the league for pushing on 6-7 years now. But he's decided to stick it out at Real Madrid. We felt like, he still very much had some unfinished business there. So we said, stick it out. And you know what? He came second in 2056, but on 96 points. But Barcelona, as we can see, just too good. And they are absolutely dominating the league. But you can see, even Villarreal won the league. Like, Real Madrid haven't really been in with a sniff for some time. And you can see almost that the La Liga has suffered alongside that because they're actually fourth. They've dropped down the coefficient rankings as well. But you know what? Harry Kane has got them back into a sort of consistent top 4 team. But that was as good as it got at Real Madrid because 2056, Manchester United once again came knocking and we felt, you know what? Let's go for it. Now is the time. So, we've moved to Manchester United. He's gone there and in the space of a week, he's won 2 trophies for them. And this is a United team which have been absolutely dominating. They've just won back-to-back Champions Leagues in 2056 and 2057, as well as winning 3 league titles in a row as well. So yeah, absolutely cruising. They've also been winning the FA Cup. They've also been winning the Carabao. Yeah, they are in unreal form. And as you may have seen, Kane carried that tradition on, won the league 2057. And yeah, great start to his time at Manchester United because not only did he do that, but that 2057 Champions League was under his stewardship where they beat rivals Manchester City 3-1. And believe it or not, that Champions League win did actually complete a treble because they also won the FA Cup final. And I mean, when you've got this guy spearheading your attack, Cassia Lynchy, homegrown, United, born and bred, you're always going to do well. At the age of 22, he's banging in the goals. He could definitely be more prolific, but you know what? Good future with him leading the line for Manchester United and Harry Kane. And what then followed was just such a period of dominance, winning 3 Premier Leagues in a row, winning his 2nd Champions League with Manchester United, winning the Carabao, just cleaning up all trophies. And he stayed at United until 2061, where as you can see, he's actually now manager of RB Leipzig. While he was at Man United, he won 5 consecutive Premier Leagues and 4 Champions Leagues, as well as FA Cup, Carabao Cups. He did also, I forgot to mention, win the Carabao Cup with Newcastle, so that was something he had achieved. So he was just getting his hands back on that trophy. But yeah, 5 consecutive Premier Leagues and 4 Champions Leagues, an absolute era of dominance with that United team. But yeah, as I said, you join us now with Kane having been at Leipzig for 3 years. You join us in the November, and there's a reason for this, and we'll touch on that in a second. But yeah, at the end of that spell at United, he said, I'm going to leave at the end of the Champions League. Want to try something different. we've achieved all we can at Manchester United. We've been to Spain, we've been to France, we've done England, we've been to Italy. Let's look somewhere else. We've got unfinished business, potentially in France. We've got unfinished business in Italy. We didn't win the Champions League with Milan. We didn't win the league with France with PSG, but we were only there for a season. But Liverpool, of all teams, came knocking. Super successful Manchester United manager is not going to want to go to Liverpool. And we're like, no, Harry, you can't do that. So Leipzig offered him a contract, and we thought, yeah, why not? It's a good move. Leipzig have been a really good team in the Bundesliga. It's basically between them and Dortmund for who's been winning the Bundesliga. Bayern haven't had a sniff. Because we did think about, obviously, we've got the history of Bayern, but they seemed relatively settled with their manager. So it didn't look like that job was becoming available. And then when the Leipzig manager left, they offered the job to Kane. And as you can see, it's been pretty successful. 3 back-to-back Bundesligas, Pokal here, a DFL Super Cup here and there. And yeah, pretty good going. He's added the Bundesliga to his trophy cabinet. But the eagle-eyed of you will notice, and the sort of astute of you will be aware, there's one club that's been missing, and it's been hanging over like a great big cockerel. And that club was Spurs. Now, Spurs are currently under a different manager, but in the November where you last saw us, I think it was 2066 or 65, after they just finished 9th, Spurs found themselves sort of like 13th, 14th, and they turned to Harry Kane and thought, Harry, can you come and help us out here? And he thought, yeah, you know what, it's time for me to go back to Spurs. Didn't do much the first season he was there, but in that second season, he got them up to 4th. But then, and I was thinking, brilliant, let's build on this. Sorry, everyone, it was 2064 when he went to Spurs. He stayed there for what, season and a half, 2 seasons. Manchester United came calling again. And he went back to United and won the league straight away. So this is another problem that we've had, is, like I said, we can't always stop the transfers when they happen. I'm simming through. Jump back in at the end of the season with Spurs. Great, off we go. Let's carry on. Let's sim through a little bit the summer. Load back in halfway through the summer, and he's gone back to United. I'm like, Harry, what are you doing? We're supposed to be a partnership here. But it did seem like Kane did know what was best for himself, to be fair, and he didn't really need us. Because he went and won another Premier League title with Manchester United and won the Carabao again. But unfortunately, that was to be the last thing he won. There was no last Champions League hurrah, because at the age of 74, Kane is stepping down. He's still wanted by Liverpool, and he's gone, no chance, I've had enough, I'm retiring, I'm hanging up my shirt, hanging up my tie and my suit, and I'm going to enjoy the rest of my time. So yeah, he's decided that enough is enough, which I think is fair. I think is very, very fair. He ends his career having won 1,011 games out of 1,510, winning 26 cups and 14 leagues. Unbelievable. 14 league titles and 26 cup wins. So, I mean, I think it's safe to say that we made a pretty good partnership. Me as his agent, Harry Kane doing his bits as manager. He won his titles at Milan, Newcastle, Real Madrid, Manchester United across 2 spells, and RB Leipzig as well. I think he did pretty well. I personally enjoy doing these types of videos. I really like them. If people like them and people want to see me do other ones, basically the way I do it is I just do sims into the future. Some of them I take from my own save that I've got with fellow guy Thur, and just find managers and look at, like, legendary players, try and find them if they've got good managerial ability. I'll run a sim off it. I'm not going to run a sim off, basically I found one sim where Harry Kane had sorry, it wasn't Harry Kane, it was Cristiano Ronaldo. I think it was on the FM23. he had a potential ability of like 96. I was like, I can't use that. It's, you know, he's going to do nothing. Yeah, we basically just work our way through, look at it, sim it. I really enjoy it. It's great. So if there's anyone else you want me to try and find and do another episode like this on, drop your thoughts down below, drop your comments. I'll have a look and I'll see what I can get. I've got a Luka Modric file and it looks like he could be semi-decent. I think he's got PA of about 150, 160 maybe, so we might try and run something with that. But yeah, also obviously we did the Wonder Kid career revival videos as well. Any other Wonder Kids that you're thinking of? Obviously we've done Endrick, we've done Bardaji, we've done Gabby Vega, Cole Palmer, Bradley Barcola. Yeah, just let me know who you want to see and I will do my best to make it happen for you. Obviously this video has been a little bit of like a semi-live, semi-recap video of Harry Kane's managerial career and kind of how we've approached it and what we've done. Obviously the way I've done it is I've simmed everything previously to this, so I can do it all in one go, which might be why it seems a little bit like, not disjointed, but the tense changes a little bit, that's why. So I hope you've enjoyed it, everyone. Like I said, I really enjoy doing these. And if you have, drop a like down below, leave a comment, like I said, who you want to see next. And if you've enjoyed it, why not subscribe? Thank you so much for watching. Bye for now.